For video, today is a trading technique method video where I'm going to sort of talk through 5 different methods that I think are worth doing at the moment on the FIFA 23 transfer market. This will enable you to increase your coin balance. Now I have got a low coin balance to what I had in the last few days. That's through doing a few investments and also crafting Lionel Messi, who is now in my squad. So I used some of my coins just to get him done quicker. If I wanted to, I could have just traded towards him. But I now obviously have him in my squad, which means I can use him in weekend league and in gameplay, which is great for me. And also I can obviously start now using the techniques that I'll be showing you in today's video, how you can basically trade to him or any card in the game, or even just building up your coin balance. So let's get on to tip number 1. So the first method is to go across to the transfer market, go to bronze, go to rare, and go to 150. And then what you want to do is you want to skip a couple of pages along to maybe about here, and then you want to bid 200 coins on all the rares that are here. I would do this in different intervals, otherwise you will get bid banned. So maybe bid on sort of 10 to 15 and then back out. What I tend to do is bid on around 5 to 6 on the page, especially if I'm doing this on the web app, because that way you then have less chance of being bid banned, and then it works better in your kind of, it means you can basically do this more often. And if you can leave a couple of minutes break in between each bidding session, that will stop you from being bid banned. So we bid on around 10 players there or so, well 16 players by the looks of it, and I did do a couple of bids before the video, and you can see here I have won a lot of cards, which is great. So I accidentally bid a 250 on this one, but it's not an issue. So the reason why we're doing this is because some cards, for example, this goalkeeper here, this rare goalkeeper, he might go for a little bit more. You might be able to get more coins from him, perhaps 400 coins. But realistically, a lot of these bronze rares are actually going for around 350 coins within the first 10 minutes or so of the bronze market, which is great. So you're making obviously around 120 coins per bronze trade that you do. You do that 100 times, you make 12k. That's really, really easy to build up your coins, and it's a simple method just to do at the moment while you're maybe going into games, and it's a nice little method to do. So what I would do now is obviously, relist all these. You do sometimes get outbidded on quite a few, but you will also win quite a few as well. So it's one of them things. It's an easy little method to do. No, don't really have to think about it. You can just do it. And yeah, that is the first method that I would do. Let's move on to tip number 2. For the trading methods, I have now managed to sell all of my bronze rares. They sold within the first 7 minutes of being listed, which is great for 350 coins. And I have listed one here accidentally up for the wrong price, but obviously if he does expire at 350, I'll be able to get a buy now on him for 350. So it's not an issue, and I'll be able to relist him when he comes around. The next method is actually on position modifiers. What you can actually do is pick a lot of these up on bid for relatively cheap prices. I've tested 1,000 here, but let's maybe test 900 and see how we get on. So the position modifiers, if you search for it at 900 here, you can see there is loads that are kind of under that. So if we tried 900, we might be able to maximize our coins a little bit more. I'm expecting to be outbidded at this price up to around 1.1k, depending on how many people are looking at these at the moment. However, there seems to be quite a few on the market, so we might be able to do relatively well in them. And if I was you, I would tweak the prices. If you start to realize you're picking a lot up at 900, maybe go down to 800, 850, see if you can pick them up there. If you can, then obviously you're laughing. But what I recommend doing is just bidding on a load of them at 900 coins when they have around 30 seconds left, and then hoping that you can win some at that price. So maybe bid on around 10 to 15 at that point and see how you get on. Now it looks like we're getting outbid on a lot of these, but you can see here we are winning a few at 900 coins, which is good, but also we are going to get outbid on some as well. Sometimes they can go obviously lazy buyers buying them at 1.4, so you can see here that is an option. So if you do put these up around 1,000 coins or 900 coins, you can list them up at 1.4 and get a lazy sale. It's depending on you how quickly you want your coins and how quickly you want to flip them. It does look like it is quite hard to win them at 900, so maybe even testing it at going 950 to 1,000 I think is the best way if you want to win more cards, but obviously having lesser profit for it. So Just to show you that this method does work, if you go to position changes here and you type in 1.2, they do sell within the first 20 minutes here, as you can see here. But if you want to lazy list them at 1.3, 1.4, you can definitely get sales on them too. It's just depending on how long you're kind of happy to wait to get that profit. Personally, for me, I like to just get the quick flips in, so I can do this at 1.2. There is also a advanced stage, which is going to be, which I'm going to show you as part of trading technique number 3. But I will obviously show you that in a second. So that is the number two. Let's move on to trading technique number 3. Obviously, as we know, we bid it on position modifiers. What I personally like doing is obviously using these to make profit by converting players into certain positions that allow them to be sold for more coins because it's not their natural position. Now, there is a way you can do this. There's plenty of different ways. So you have a play around the market and look at different players. But if you look as an example for gold commons that are right mids and they're from Portugal, now I think Brazil works for this as well, you can see there is none on the market for below 1.9k. And you can see here there's actually a bid on this card at 1.6. But the great thing about these silver about these rare Portuguese players is you can pick these up relatively cheap. So if we look at this guy here, if I bid 300 coins on him, I should be able to pick him up relatively easy. You can pick up a few here at 300 coins, and we should be able to sell them for more. If you can get the higher rated guy at 300 coins or 350 coins, so this Pedro Goncalves, you might be able to sell him for a little bit more coins, but it does look like the minimum on him is around sort of 400 to 450, and he does look harder to pick up, so people look like they are kind of using him to transfer him to a different position. But what you do there, obviously you bid on these players, you try to win them at 300 coins or 350 coins. It might be easier to pick them up at 350, but obviously it's just a bit of a trial and error here. This is what you might have to do. So just bid a 350 on this card, and we do 350 on this card and make the bids. And then obviously you've made a sale, you're spending obviously the initial 1k or 900 coins depending on how much you pick up the position modifier. But let's go for the worst example here. So picking up at 1,000, you then obviously spend the 350 on bidding on the card. That gives you an outlay of 1,350 coins. But we know that we can sell these cards for around 1.8k, as that will be the lowest on the market. So we take away the 1,350. That leaves us with 450 coins profit per position. Now, it is a bit of a faff, obviously, to bid on a card and then relist it and change its position, but it's not the end of the world. So what we'll do here is we look like we're going to win this Trincao here, which is great at 350 coins. We'll send him to our club, and we'll obviously send in a position card as well. So let's send in the position card here, and then obviously get this Trincao once he is expired. So we've got him now, we picked him up, we can send him into the club. When we're in the club, obviously we can go to a squad screen, which I'm just going to choose one where I don't have subs on a certain screen, just to save me a bit of time. I can then go to most recent, I can then go to Trincao, I can then go to my position modifiers, and I can convert him to a right mid. Now he's a right mid, we know we can sell him for a lot more at 1.8k. So we can list him for 1.8 here and hope that he does sell. If he doesn't, we know we can lower him to at least 1.6 to 1.7 to make at least 200 to 300 coins on him. But this is a really good method, and it's definitely worth testing out, especially on different cards from different nations, and seeing what works for you. Just have a play around and test it for your own good. But the position modifier changes can be really, really handy, especially if you can pick them up for relatively cheap. And obviously, worst case scenario, if you, like I said on tip 2, you can just list these up at 1.2 to save yourself having to do all the converting and stuff. And for example, on this card here, we can make 300 coins on it, which is great. Same on this one here. So if you want to prevent yourself from actually having to do that, then you can just relist these up at 1.2. They will sell, or you can obviously lazy list them for a little bit more coins. So looking at maybe 1.3, 1.4. It depends how quickly you want your profit, like I've said. But yeah, that is a different method that you can try. So just test that one and see how you get on. let's move on to trading tip number 4 of 5, and I will get into that straight away. Number 4 is the silver commons. Now, if you see my recent videos, you would see that if you were picking them up for 150, you would have made a load of profit in the last few days. You can sell them for minimum at the moment 300 coins, which is really handy because anything you have in your club that you've been picking up at 150, you can get a guaranteed sale within the first 7 minutes here at 300 coins. But what I recommend doing is actually going 150 here. Obviously, using a bidding method here would be to go 150, going to around the second or third minute, and then bidding 200 coins on the cards that you see. This will stop you from being outbidded instantly. Otherwise that would be the case within the first couple of minutes. That's what people tend to do. This will get you ahead and potentially stop people from wanting to bid on the cards that you bidded on. That's just a bit of a trading technique that you can do here. So some of the reason why this method works relatively well is that obviously every card does sell for 300 coin minimum within the first 7 minutes. You can definitely get 350 if you lazy listed it, but some of these cards for some reason go for a lot more than other cards do. So when you're checking these prices, you want to be doing it on each card and viewing them. So before this video I did bid on quite a few cards, before this segment of the video, did bid on quite a few cards. So see here, I think I bid on 20 for free cards and I won 10 of the 23. So you do get outbid a fair amount, but you can see here all of these people are bidding 250 and relisted them at 300 coins to get a guaranteed sale. I don't think the profit margin there is that great. I like to make at least 100 coins per card. So what I would do then is go for each card that you win and check the lowest buy now and then kind of match it up towards that. So we can see this card here, the lowest buy now on this card is actually 450 coins. So we can actually make a little bit more profit on him. We could probably list him up at 400 coins and sell him, or maybe even 350. Do you know what? I'm going to list him up at 350 there, and we can scrape an extra 350 coins. So you're making around 120 coins per card, depending on obviously the card that you pick up. So this guy here's got a 350 buy now. So I would typically list him up at 300 coins just to get him resold, and then obviously be able to make coins in him. But there will be some cards you'll see. I think, for example, this card here is a good example. He's not a good example. Okay, so that's 350 on him. You'll see on some of these cards, hopefully, you'll see one where you might be able to make 600, 700 coins from obviously a pickup for 200 coins. So the profit margins on these can be very, very good, dependent on the card that you pick up. The better the nations, obviously from the top nations, the better you'll do. Typically, and the same with positions and things like that. But worst case scenario, you just make 70 coins per card, which I don't think is too bad. I think they're relatively easy to pick up, and obviously the opportunity to actually make more coins from individual cards, then I think it's worth it. So this guy here, you could probably, once that card sells, which it will do really quickly, you could definitely be able to get 350 coins from this one. And worst case scenario, you will just have to relist the card for 50 coins lower later on, knowing that it sells for 300 guaranteed. The kind of thing I find is that if it's in a good league and it's relatively high rated, so what I mean by that is 70 plus, you can kind of sometimes scrape out a few extra coins on that card. It does depend though obviously on position and nation and league, but yeah, just have a play around. You'll work out eventually which cards are good. So this guy here is actually a perfect example. This is the type of player that I've been looking for. So obviously we won him for 200 coins. His lowest buy now is 1.8. Now I won't list, 1.7. I won't list it at that price. I want obviously a quick sale. Now you could, if you want to try and test it and try and sell him for that, you can do. But what happens with these silvers is quite often their price will drop dramatically randomly. So you want to kind of sell it as soon as possible. So don't be over greedy with it. I'm happy with 700 coins profit on that card there just by picking up at 200 coins. This guy here doesn't look like he's going to go for a whole ton there. So obviously we would list him. But if we just try and find a couple maybe that we might be able to do. So this guy, no. Maybe this striker, might be able to get sort of 350 on him. Obviously I won't relist all of these, but you kind of get the vibe here of what might happen. I think higher the rated, like I said, the better you might be able to do, depending on what SBCs are out. But worst case scenario, if they don't sell, you can just store them in your club and there's a definite chance that they'll go up in price. You can stick them in your club if you want to as investments for 200 coins, and then resell at a later date for probably at least double that. I'm happy to get the 300 coins for now, and then get the odd sale for a little bit more coins, depending on the rating. So that is where I'm at with that one. It's a really good method, and you can see here that one sells there at 300 coins. That 350 one we spoke about earlier was really good. Obviously, in the bronze rares one, he had actually sold for 350 on open bid, even though I messed up the buy nows. Otherwise, he would have sold instantly for 350 within the first sort of 6-7 minutes. The position modifiers we were picking up at 900 to 1000, selling on at 1.2 there, which is good to see. And obviously that shrink out is still there, but I might have to drop into around 1.7 to 1.6. So ideally, I guess for the position modifier trading technique, you want to pick that up for 900 coins. Pick this guy up for around 300 coins. That will give you 1.2, and probably relist him up for 1.6. That will be the lowest card in the market by a couple hundred coins, which means he will sell quicker. So it's up to you how quickly you want to do the flips. And obviously these methods, it's all dependent on how quick if you want quick flips, or whether you want to you're happy to wait for the profit to come in. It's completely up to you. So we'll clear that. We'll relist these other 9 cards that we've won here, and then we'll get into the final technique, trading method of the video, and that will be the end of the video. So let's do one more trading technique, and I will show you what that is right now. Just touching on the method we just showed you as tip 4. You can see here some of these silver commons are selling on now. Most of them are obviously for 300, so quick flips. One there for 350, and that guy that we obviously showed you that was selling for around 1.4, 1.5. We obviously undercut this just to make sure we got the sale and make profit on him. Sold him for 900 coins, making a nice 700 coins on just one card. So this method is very good if you manage to get lucky and get a decent silver common card. If not, then you obviously flip the card on for an extra 700 coins profit, and I think it's relatively good in that sense. Obviously there is other cards here that we still need to sell, so yeah, that is where we're at. Now we are going to clear that and move on to our next and final tip of the video, and that is on Libertadores cards. Now Libertadores cards obviously count as rares, and obviously you want to be picking up the silvers, not the bronzes, and ideally picking up for around 250 coins, obviously and kind of no lower than that. Now looking at certain players, you will need to do this because they do change quite frequently throughout the day. So this card here, you'll definitely be able to sell him on for at least 400 coins profit. So I think a bid there or 250 would be worth it. Fortunately for us, someone did bid, but maybe skip a couple of pages ahead just so that you got a chance to actually check these players before you bid on them. So just to do a quick compare, have a look. So this guy looks like he would be a good one to go for. So bid him on 250 coins. Just move on to the next. And again, I would probably look at trying to make at least, well, you're looking to make at least sort of 350 to 400 coins on per card. Only bid 250 on these cards. They're relatively easy to kind of mess up on. Sometimes people don't obviously realize these are in the game because they don't always show up in searches, especially on console. So you can get these probably easier, but then obviously they're less kind of found compared to other cards. So just be careful and wary when you're doing this method, and make sure you're checking the prices as you go along. So as long as you're making 200 to 300 coins per card, I think it's worth doing. Even like a 100 coin flip, you may think that's worth it, and if so, then do so. But this is a really good kind of method to do it on. Obviously, if that card there looked like he might be good for 250, but there was a buy now there for 350. So I'm going to skip him because obviously the profit margin isn't great. These cards are kind of harder to make profit from just simply because they're obviously lesser known, like I've just said. But with obviously an SBC comes out, this is when these cards go up. So you could do this as an investment and actually bid on these at 250, leave them in your club, and wait for them at a point to sell them. I think when I get to kind of a higher point in coins, I'll start doing that on these Libertadores cards, because you never know, the League SBC might come at some point, and you might think, do you know what, it's a perfect time to sell these, cash in on them, and make a lot of coins on them. But if you want to just make kind of quick flips and quick profit, then obviously you can have a look at the prices here, compare them, and realize that you can make some profit on them and then bid on them. I personally, in terms of all the methods I've shown you today, I personally like the position modifier one and also the bronze rares one the most. I feel like they're the easiest to pick up and the easiest to sell in terms of doing quick flips, whereas the other ones, maybe it might take you a little bit longer to sell, Silver Commons as well actually is a good one. So I'd say they're my top three in terms of out of the five. But if you have enjoyed today's video, then obviously please do subscribe to the channel and leave a like. I've done a different type of video today, splitting it down, identifying the methods by 5 different methods. So hopefully that one, at least one of them, has helped you today. And if it has, then drop me a like and subscribe and let me know in the comments that it's helped you. But yeah, thank you so much for the support as always. See you next time for another video, and peace.